today also marks Africa Day, and it's a crucial time that celebrates the continent's independence and its freedom from colonial powers. This day is counted among several others that are important in our history, but sadly, there are also concerns that it's not given due attention. Let's make sense of it now. Bring in historian Professor Pitika Ntuli, who joins us via our telephone line this morning. Prof, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks as always for making time. And you know, around this time of the year, there's always that, if you like, skeptical, ritualistic question that comes up about whether or not we should even celebrate Africa Day. Progress has been made from our colonial history, as it were, but my goodness, still so many problems that we're facing.
No, definitely. It's the problem that we're actually facing. It's as if we were not prepared for this independence for which we had actually fought for centuries. But the problem is that Africa is not actually controlled by Africans themselves. Big capitalist countries, quite monopoly, control the people that control the state in very many cases, to an extent that people then start concentrating on making contacts to make money, and at the end, ordinary people are the ones that lie on the ground trampled upon.
Part of what this day is meant to do is help us cast our minds back to when the African Union itself was formed. I think it was in 1963 it was,
63.
on this day. Yeah, there it is. And, we can't do that without taking stock of the strides or lack thereof that the AU has been able to make over these years, especially given some of the problems at the level of the elites in some government on the continent.
Yeah, but let's take a step back to 1963, the OAU. The OAU, with the Kwame Nkrumah, Abolewe, Abofemi Awolowo, Julius Nyerere, were asking for Africa, one Africa, the unity of Africa, so that we have an African civilizational stage rather than nation states that lead to all of the stuff. And at that same time, in the same line that China had done, they rejected the nation state and came up with a civilizational stage, then which is easier to do so. They were calling for an African economy with an African currency, an African military high command. If anything happens to any African country, then the people would come in. They went to an extent of coming up with an idea of two languages that would be official to be spoken in Africa. And an African Union that was going to be based on economic, philosophical, and cultural grounds. And all of those gains of the leaders of old that the new leaders could not clue about. Then in the end, it results in the betrayal of Africa with the track. Give you an example here in South Africa. When we started with an idea of an RDP. The RDP also was calling for the nationalization of the banks and the issues of the land, the issues of these clear programmatic programs. But then what did we do? That we give it up for gear and white monopoly capital, and then as a result, this isn't. But we have tried, actually, at least in South Africa, to come up with an idea of an African month that we should actually focus ourselves to see what is bad and to see what is progressive. We have done a number of things. We've got social grants. We've got some form of education that people are getting. There are quite a number of things that we have actually done, but it is actually not good enough. But ultimately, you find that the politicians have got very good intentions. But the people that work under them, the bureaucrats that are untrained, and some of them even out of their depth with all of these things get sabotaged. Maybe an example, the very African month. When people on the outside, we are all involved outside with the bureaucrats. We had Ngugi Wationgo, we had Professor Fanon, the daughter of Franz Fanon. We were traveling in the rural areas of Africa, speaking about Africa, letting people from outside of Africa to talk about Africa.
Yes.
But again, bureaucratically, boom. There's nothing that is happening.
Interesting you mention Ngugi Wationgo, because one of the books he writes is about colonizing the mind.
Colonizing the mind.
Yeah, there you go. Part of the chapters he speaks of there is moving the center, as it were. And it's very complex, but it's essentially about allowing people to be aware of their environment such that they, I guess, have better agency to act. I wonder whether you feel people in Africa, especially those who are facing really adverse circumstances, still have that agency, given, I guess, just the mammoth task, the extent of the difficulties in their lives.
Oh, well, yes, I'll just give one very simple, straight example. Rwanda. The Houthi and the Tutsi, they killed each other in their hundreds of thousands. But they came out and said, let us have a dialogue about our country in order to move forward. And indeed, they had that dialogue. And today, Rwanda is the only country that can make a car in Africa. And they are actually developing well. But why can't we learn, in a sense, from those?
Interesting insights. Thanks very much indeed for helping us make sense of this day. Certainly a whole lot more to be said. But we'll leave it there for now. Professor Pitika Ntuli is a historian helping us make sense of how we should view this Africa Day.